Hi guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be analyzing the latest round of invitations for Express Entry. But before I start my discussion, I just wanted to let you know that I will be using abbreviations for this video. So for a quick guide on what those abbreviations stand for, check out the description box below. Anyway, if you do find this information useful, please do like and subscribe to my channel for more information about Canadian immigration news, case studies, and more. And disclaimer, any information provided on my YouTube channel is for your information only. It is not legal advice, and so if you do decide to act upon the information found in my YouTube channel, do your own due diligence. Next, I think that this is also a good time to do a recap for those of you that don't know Express Entry. So let's review. What is Express Entry? Express Entry is a points-based system that assigns you a CRS score. CRS stands for Comprehensive Ranking System, and it determines your score based on your profile. Your profile is made up of several factors which include your age, your English proficiency, your family ties, study and work experience in and outside of Canada. You can only submit a profile once you meet the minimum requirements for Express Entry. And this usually entails taking an IELTS general test and having at least 1 year skilled work experience in or outside of Canada. For those of you wondering, yes, you can create an Express Entry profile for free. So if you're curious to find out if you're eligible for Express Entry, I've also linked it in the description box below. After submitting an Express Entry profile, you will join a pool of eligible candidates and will be given a CRS score. When you enter the pool, you will need to wait for IRCC to hold a draw, which generally happens every 2 weeks. Your score must exceed the IRCC cutoff score in order to get an ITA, or another case in where you can get an invitation to apply for permanent residence is if your CRS score is equal to the cutoff score and you've also met the tie-breaking rule. Tie-breaking rule here means that you have submitted your Express Entry profile on or before the date and time specified on that draw. If your score does not meet the IRCC cutoff score, you will not be invited and will remain in the pool to wait for the next draw. It's also important to take note of when you submitted your Express Entry profile, as your profile will only be active in the pool for 1 year. If your Express Entry profile expires before you receive an ITA, then you will need to resubmit another Express Entry profile to enter the pool. The date you submitted will count as your new day 1 in the pool. Once you get your ITA, you will be asked to submit a PR application or a permanent residency application. Upon submission, an immigration officer will review your file to make sure that you meet all the eligibility requirements for Express Entry. Currently, this stage is quite long due to delays caused by COVID. Once the immigration officer checks that you have no outstanding issues on your PR application, then you will likely be approved for PR. Now, most people get stuck in the pool and never get an ITA. Why? Because their CRS score is simply not high enough. So guys, it's important to take note that even if you are eligible to apply for Express Entry, it is not guaranteed that you will apply for permanent residency to Canada. Anyway, let's now discuss the recent Express Entry draw. The last draw happened on November 18, 2020, and this was an all-program draw, meaning CEC, FSW, FST, and PNP applicants were eligible for this round. There were 5,000 invitations sent, which is unusually high since the trend from previous draws were hovering at 4,200 to 4,500. And I'm guessing that IRCC increased the number of invitations because they are well short of their PR admissions target for this year, 2020. The cutoff score was at 472, which means candidates who scored 472 and higher will get an invitation to apply for PR. So for those that got an ITA, congratulations, because You deserve it. I'm pretty sure that you worked hard enough to get to this point, and so you deserve to treat yourself to a nice dinner for a job well done. For those that did not receive an ITA, well, what does this mean? I'm a numbers guy or girl, and I'm all about analyzing data to see if they reveal any hidden messages. So with that, let's dig deeper into the previous express entry draws. We need to compare the previous invitation rounds and also check the CRS score distribution table in order to see the trend. So with that, let's take a look at the 7 previous round of invitations. I will be discussing the trend found in draw 161 to 167, which you'll see somewhere on the screen. I've indicated the date of the draw, the type of draw, the number of invitations sent, and the CRS cutoff score for that draw. So what happened? Let's begin with draw 161 because there are a couple things here that stand out. First, this was a program-specific draw, and as of late, the last CEC draw. There are several factors as to why CEC was preferred at that time. CEC are candidates that have in Canada experience. Someone that qualifies under CEC have studied in Canada, work a skilled job, and are most likely still living here in Canada. And that's the important keyword here, you guys. They're here. They're still in Canada, meaning they are less likely to be impacted by the travel restrictions and the COVID protocols. Second thing to note here is that the CRS cutoff score during that draw was at 454, which is relatively low. A significant drop in the CRS score happens when a draw is taken from a specific program, and that's because there are a smaller number of candidates in that particular pool. So that explains why this draw had a low CRS cutoff score. Now moving on to draw 162. First, this was an all programs draw. Second, the number of invitations sent increased by 900 if we're comparing draw 161 and 162. Third, the cutoff score increased by 21 points, which is a relatively high increase. This is likely due to candidates in the FSW and FST not being part of the previous draw, even though some of them have a higher CRS score compared to the CRS cutoff score in draw 161. In short, they're giving a chance to other candidates in the all-program pool. For draws 163 and 164, I will not be doing a comparative analysis as those draws don't have much significance in terms of ITAs and CRS cutoff. Basically, the changes in numbers are negligible. Now, let's compare draw 166 and 165. First thing I notice is that they have the same number of invitations at 4,500. Draw 166 also saw an increase to the CRS score by 7 points to 478. Why so? Well, it is likely that candidates that have a higher CRS score are entering the pool, which is why we have a higher CRS cutoff score. According to my rough maths, there were about 8,632 people that entered the pool. However, there were only 4,500 invitations sent out, meaning there were more people remaining in the pool that are not selected, and therefore the CRS score increased by 7 points. Now, let's take a look at the people that have not received an ITA and their chances of getting one. So for this, we have to take a look at the CRS score distribution table. Why? Well, because this is a good indicator of where your position is and how likely you will receive an invitation. This is basically your ranking compared to others. I will include the table somewhere on the screen, and I'll also link it below for your reference. So the current distribution table has some things to note. Number 1, this distribution table is current as of November 18, 2020. Second, the total number of people within this pool for draw 167 is at 146,965. Next, take your current CRS score and see where you are placed in this distribution table. For example, let's take my CRS score of 450. we have to find out how many people are above me, meaning those candidates will receive an ITA before I will. There are a total of 348 candidates with CRS scores ranging from 601 to 1200. Meanwhile, there are a total of 345 candidates with CRS scores ranging from 501 to 600. Next, there are 27,172 candidates with scores ranging from 451 to 500, and there are also a total of 10,180 candidates with CRS scores ranging from 441 to 450. So for my case, my highest placement is number 27,865. And I got that number by adding the total number of people above me. Meaning, the ITA will have to be given to 27,864 other people with a higher CRS score before I will get mine. Now, my lowest placement number is at 38,045, which I got by adding these numbers. Meaning, ITAs will be given to 38,044 other people with higher CRS score before I am given one. So, there are a couple important assumptions that we have to factor in here. First one is that we are assuming that no one else will enter the pool. Second, if there are people entering the pool that have a lower CRS score compared to mine, then I will not be impacted. Third is also assuming that IRCC is not doing a program-specific draw. Fourth, if IRCC is only doing a program-specific draw, then it will only be beneficial if my program is selected. Fifth, IRCC is continuing to hand out 5,000 ITAs per draw. If those assumptions hold, then the quickest way that I can expect to receive an ITA is in approximately 6 draws, while the slowest that I can expect to receive an ITA is in approximately 8 draws. But guys, it is unlikely that those assumptions will hold because more people will enter the pool and the numbers will increase. But not all is bad news. IRCC recently announced that they are looking to increase the numbers for PR admissions to Canada over the next 3 years. You can actually find out more about this announcement in this video on my YouTube channel. So, here are my takeaway points. First is if your CRS score is low, say low 400s, then it's best to look at other immigration pathways to PR. Yes, I know this sounds harsh, but you may have a better chance at another program that leads to PR. Maybe research other provincial nominee programs that you qualify for, or you could also be lucky like me that received an ITA during COVID. Second, if your score is low, say 445 to 460, see if there are other areas that you can improve that can boost your CRS score. Perhaps retake your IELTS or get your foreign credentials assessed. Maybe even talk to your employer about potentially getting you an LMIA so that you can get an additional 50 points. Third, if your CRS score is close to the cutoff score, well then my friend, you are in a good position to receive an ITA. But there are still some areas that you can improve on in the meantime, so try to do that first. Okay, next up, let's talk about my predictions. First, I think that there will be a drop in the CRS score in the near future, as IRCC has failed to meet its targeted number for PR admissions this year by a long shot. I predict an increase in the number of ITAs per draw, and this will likely decrease the CRS score. Second prediction here is that I feel that specific program draws will be more rare. Yeah, apparently IRCC received a lot of criticism for selecting CEC candidates earlier on this year. There were complaints from FSW and FST applicants with high CRS scores that did not get an ITA. So, if anything, IRCC would have to make it fair by doing a program-specific draw for FSW and FST or an all-program draw. Lastly, I think the number of candidates will increase in the express entry pool in the mid to long-term future, meaning that it will be more competitive and likely increase the CRS cutoff score. My prediction is based on two factors. First, the number of invitees have increased to 5,000 in the most current draw, and we did not see a significant drop in the CRS score. Second, I am expecting that COVID is likely to increase demand for immigration to Canada. And well, historically, the number of people in the pool have increased significantly since the initiation of the express entry system. And with that, I'm expecting that more people will be looking to enter the pool under the FSW and FST program. But here's the thing, IRCC is also increasing the number of PR admissions over the next 3 years, and so this could also lower the CRS cutoff score.
What?
And well, if that's the case, I'm expecting the number of ITAs to be around 5,000 to 6,000 per draw for 2020. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. I just want to give my honest review and opinions on the latest draw and CRS score. If you do like it, please do like and subscribe to my channel, and also follow me on social media. That's at RRDencel. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope that you're all safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!